Let's turn to Sir Ben Wallace, former Defence Secretary, as recently, of course, as 2023, joins me now. How realistic, Sir Ben, are the chances of this meeting going ahead? Morning to you.
Morning. I think quite a high chance of the meeting. Donald Trump is a man when it comes to deals who's much more interested in the wedding rather than marriage. He likes the big ceremony and the pomp and the event, but actually they then unravel usually whatever deal it is, whether it's Afghanistan or others, further down the line. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to try and have that. It'll look good. It will be lots of show. But ultimately, I think we already know what's not going to be agreed. And that will be, that will set the tone for the next few months. And meanwhile, Donald Trump will probably have moved on to something else.
It was a conflict that set the tone for much of your tenure as Defence Secretary, of course, Sir Ben. What do you see playing out over the next 12 months?
Well, I think two things. That there is pressure building on Russia. Its economy is starting to tilt a bit. The oil revenues are down by 30%, partly because of price, but partly because of sanctions. And at the same time, he is losing nearly 1,000 people a day into his meat grinder. And we now see from media reports that in places like St. Petersburg, areas that the recruiters basically avoided, now we're seeing a sort of action into the middle classes of Russia to get their sons to the meat grinder. That will have an effect. They are making advances in the east. Mainly their main effort is the Eastern-esque. They're making small advances at the cost of thousands of lives, but they are making some advances, and that will weigh heavy on Ukrainian minds. But what's not going to happen is that the West is going to recognize Crimea, as Putin wants, that Ukraine is going to de-arm, which is another one of their requirements, that the international community should recognize most of the occupied zones. That isn't going to happen, and therefore it's not really going to give Putin what he wants. Trump may try and get sanctions relief or offer a bit of carrot to Putin, but the Europeans are now, including the United Kingdom, piling in support to Ukraine to replace some of the American support. And the new American support isn't really American support. It's Europeans will be allowed to buy, how lucky we are, American equipment with European money to then give it to Ukraine. That's not the same as it happened previously. And that's Donald Trump sort of having his cake and eat it, that, more money for American defense industries doesn't provide many jobs here in the UK. And in exchange, we're allowed to pass some of the kit to the Ukrainians. I think it's going to remain a place of sad stalemate, high casualty rates, Russia taking small gains in hundreds of meters. But I think one of the mistakes of the upcoming summit is to exclude Europe. Two of the NATO 3 nuclear powers, France and Britain, aren't at the moment invited to that meeting. I think they should be. What we don't want is a couple of bullies bullying Zelenskyy. We've already seen President Trump on the bully tactic to Zelenskyy. That backfired. Putin is a remarkably known bully. I don't think we want to see that. And while Zelenskyy is brave, in the end, it is Europe that will face the consequence of a bad deal in Ukraine as well as the Ukrainians.
A couple of other questions while I have the benefit on the line. As a former senior politician, some military top brass have expressed concerns about the high number of undocumented young males crossing the Channel getting into the United Kingdom. We have a new deal put forward by the government, one in, one out. Your take on that as you understand it, Sir Ben?
I think the one in, one out, I was the former security minister, the one in, one out is just bunkum. As soon as we get somebody selected to be returned, the lawyers will return to the immigration courts, evoke ECHR, and even those individuals will take months and weeks. I mean, there's a lot of unrealistic promises around all of this. I heard Nigel Farage say he would build Nightingale camps on military bases. Well, I can tell you, as the person who used to own the military bases or run them when we tried it the last time, he may well be able to do that, put prisons on camps. It'll take him 5 years, right? It will not be able to be done immediately. That's just the reality of our system. When I was in government, I tried to argue for the derogation of the European Convention of Human Rights, saying this was a national security threat. We can do that. France has derogated many times from the ECHR. That would allow us to detain people because at the moment we can't detain them. That would be a strong deterrent, and it would probably allow us to return more people. There seems to be a resistance in government, and I remember in cabinet, Suella Braverman argued against me when I wanted to derogate from the ECHR. Remarkable. And ultimately, that is the problem we're going to have to look at and fix. I don't think you should get the benefits of the ECHR if you've reached a point of safety already, such as France. Why do people then evoke the ECHR? Because they're not fleeing war by that stage. They've already gone through 2 or 3 countries that are not at war. I think we need to be much more stronger at deciding what we're going to do with the European Convention. Then we'll have real tools. And if we don't, this will just be another weekly gimmick, another announcement. It won't make a difference. Rwanda had a chance, but this government decided to cancel that.
And finally, another key defence matter, the Middle East. Next month, currently, the United Kingdom is looking as if it will recognise the Palestinian state. The Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has put certain conditions on Israel, no conditions whatsoever on Hamas. A senior member of Hamas saying that recognition would be one of, and I quote, the fruits of October the 7th. Sir Ben Wallace.
Well, we should never, I've written ages ago, we shouldn't have a ceasefire with Hamas ever. We shouldn't support one. I've read Hamas's constitution. It's basically Al-Qaeda, and Hamas has done awful things to its very own people in Palestine. I think recognising a Palestinian state can be a separate thing from the charge of rewarding Hamas. Remember, we have been in favour of a 2-state solution for some 60 years. You can't have a 2-state solution if no one seems to recognise the other state you want to have a solution with. And I think it is important we should put conditions very strongly on whoever governs both the West Bank and Palestine, Hamas and Gaza.
And Gaza, yeah.
Make it clear, but we should also definitely put some concrete in handing out the prospect of a Palestine being recognised. I think that's quite important, especially as the extreme parts of the Israeli state now are talking about the total occupation of parts of the world that we used to recognise as Palestine in the United Kingdom.